Hey, how's it going, y'all? So as you can probably tell from the thumbnail and title, I'm going to be comparing Azzaro pour Homme Intense and Maison Francis Kurkdjian or MFK Masculin Pluriel. So, I just kind of want to talk about why I like doing these comparison videos, and it's something fun for me. I like finding something that is more economical as far as options go because, you know, I know for most of us that collect or, do this as a hobby, this can get pretty expensive. So if I can find something that's a cheaper version, not necessarily a clone, because I'm not a huge fan of clones, but something that's similar or that runs in the same vein, I'm all for that. And that's not to say that I hate clones or anything, but I just prefer to try and buy something that is a little bit more original or at least kind of its own spin on something that's classic. Um, and as far as Azzaro goes, this one specifically that I'm going to talk about today, this has been around. The original came out in '92, and the intense version came out in 2015. The MFK, the Masculin Pluriel, this one came out. That's a bunch of fingerprints. Came out in 2014. So about a year apart from these two, and I think that they have a very similar vibe to them. I've never smelled the original Azzaro Porom, but from what I've read and what I've heard on reviews is that this one is a very close rendition of the original. Even though they're still making the original, apparently it's been reformulated and it's kind of been watered down as a lot of them tend to be. But this newer one is actually it's got the kind of backbone of the original in it, and that's awesome because I really enjoy this fragrance. MFK I like um, as it's on its own. It did come out, like I said, a year earlier, but before this Pour Homme Intense. And what drew me to both of these initially is because I like fougere fragrances. And for those of y'all that are kind of unfamiliar with the term, it's fougere means fern, and neither of these have kind of like, I guess, like the traditional fern scent, but it is kind of that classic barbershop scent. And both of these don't have a dated scent to me. It's a modern spin on them, and I'm obviously going to go into that a little bit more. But let me start on the Azzaro Purum Intense. So that one was brought to my attention by Thomas, and I'll put the link on his channel below, and he recommended this as a great buy, and it's a great value. You can find a bottle, 100 ml or 3.4 ounce, for around $40, and I have a smaller 1 ounce bottle. And that one ran me about $15, $16. So super affordable, not gonna break the bank. And MFK on the other hand is I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they tend to be pretty expensive even on the discounter side. So for a 70 mil that runs, I saw on Fragrance X recently, it was in the $200 range. So, for the price difference, that's a huge gap. And for the Azzaro, I think that it I don't think it's trying to copy it. Obviously, the original, it's kind of going off of that from '92. So I don't want to say it's trying to copy the Masculine Pluriel, but to me, it definitely had notes and characteristics similar to it, especially when it comes to the dry down. They do differ a little bit. The notes on the Pour Homme Intense, or Accords at least, they have it listed at Fragrantica as cinnamon, vetiver, brandy, tonka, and amber. And the Masculine Pluriel has lavender, cedar, patchouli, vetiver, leather, and woody notes. So the they actually don't list lavender as a note in the Pour Homme Intense, but it's I guess the combination of those, it is present in my, I think that I can pick up a little bit of lavender, whereas MFK, it's very lavender dominant, and it kind of has a an evolution. So the MFK goes from kind of like the spicy, fresh, really nice, uh, kind of bright lavender, and slowly works its way down to a more powdery, kind of rounded, smoother lavender scent. Um, the Azzaro por Homme, you can smell that cinnamon right away, and the that brandy kind of whiskey note where it mixes with the amber to kind of give it this more mellow vibe. And the funny thing is, it doesn't have leather listed in its notes, but I pick up a more of a leather vibe from Bizzaro than I do MFK, which the MFK actually has leather listed in it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, Patchouli, definitely heavier in the Masculin Pluriel, but not kind of like that dirty patchouli, more of a fresh kind of herbaceous vibe. And you do get that cedar note, and I do have that blanket term for Masculin Pluriel as just woody notes in general, but cedar is definitely the dominant woody note to my nose on that fragrance. And especially when it comes more towards the dry down. The Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, when the dry down, as it's drying down, you do definitely pick up more of the tonka. So it's kind of got a little bit more of the, I guess more mainstream scent because tonka is used a lot in more designer fragrances. And you will kind of notice that it is a little bit not cheaper smelling, but just not as well blended, and the ingredients aren't as high a quality, and you get that when you, especially when you smell them side by side. So you take Azzaro, and you can really pick out kind of a little bit of each note in there, versus the MFK is going to take you a little bit more time to go through and pick up the notes because of how well it's blended. And that's kind of what Francis Kurkdjian is known for, is just a really smooth, nice feel. You kind of get a well-rounded fragrance on the whole, and you can tell that it is more expensive, and you do get that kind of. I've read a comment on one of the reviews that you kind of get like a billionaire's barbershop feel. I don't know about billionaire, but I mean, you definitely do get a more expensive vibe from the fragrance overall. From start, from open to finish, the dry down, it's much smoother, but you're also paying about 5 times as much for, I mean, probably actually even 6 times as much for for the scent. So you definitely have to weigh which way you want to go. You could pick up Azzaro and be more than happy with it, and maybe just get a decant of the Masculin Pluriel if you want to try it. If not, you know, or check it out at the store. And um, let's see, what am I missing? It. I do want to kind of point out that neither one of these, especially with the MFK, it doesn't end up smelling like kind of like baby powder, and that's something that I really try and steer away from with lavender. I like it, but I can't stand when it starts to smell like a baby wipe, and to me that just kind of like cheapens the fragrance. So, um, and it doesn't do that. It's really smooth. It's cleaner. It's a really clean scent. Oh, hello. I want to talk about performance, right? Everyone wants to know, how long do these last, and you know, what can I expect out of them. So for both, average projection, maybe like an arm's length, 2, 3 feet away. You can have your little scent bubble going on for 2 hours or so. Performance is, I think, above average for Masculin Pluriel as far as longevity goes. So it'll last a good 8 to 10 hours. After those initial 2 hours of projection, it does tone down a little bit from projecting out 3 feet, maybe closer 1 foot, but you can still pick it up on yourself. It's not a skin scent. For a good 6, 7 hours, you can still pick it up. As it's waning down in its lifespan, that 10-hour mark, it's a total skin scent at that point. But I mean, especially for something that's a fresher fragrance, was very, very impressed in how well the Masculin Pluriel performed. Again, that probably lends to the fact that it is a much more expensive fragrance. So, really, if it didn't perform that way, I'd be pretty, let down with spending. I didn't pay close to retail on these, but I still, still spent significantly more on it than I did the Azzaro. So you are getting your money's worth in that regard for sure. Sillage is great, just a normal sillage. You walk by someone, they'll pick it up. As far as compliments go, I got two, maybe two or three with the Masculin Pluriel. Never really had one with the Azzaro, but again, admittedly, I do wear Masculin Pluriel a little bit more. As far as performance goes for the Azzaro, I think everything's pretty much average. 1 or 2 hours of projection, about six-ish hours for longevity, turns to a skin scent faster. But again, you're paying $40 for more juice, and you can just spray it again. I mean, if you really want to, smell that, opening again, just spray it again, carry a little decant with you. Again, this is a little tiny 1 ounce. This fits in any pocket. But, it's more, both of these work as a work scent. You could wear it, at work, at the office. You're not going to be offensive. They're not overbearing. Or maybe if you, something fresh after the shower, it's also nice too. But definitely not going to be loud, obnoxious fragrances. This is really classy, something you could dress up very easily for, or even just a casual, going out for lunch on the weekend or something like that. Nighttime versus daytime, you could probably do both, but I kind of think that they're more suited for the daytime. And as far as seasons go, definitely spring, fall, hands down, easily done. So like, room temperatures. For the winter, if you're up north and it's a, cold, probably not going to get through the winter very easily. Not that it doesn't have anything with legs on it, but I'm down south. I could wear it through our mild winters just very easily. Summer might get a little cloying. I haven't tested it out in like really, really high heat, but I don't really lean towards this kind of a fragrance in high heat anyways. Indoors, if you're indoors, 70 degrees, 75 degrees, wear it easily all day. So that kind of wraps it up. I mean, just a quick summary. Great bang for your buck. Pick it up, get your nose on it if you can. Would I recommend blind buying it? I mean, for $15, depends on, what $15 means to you, but for $15, I think it's an easy blind buy, and I typically don't recommend blind buying. But if it's under $20, usually, to me, you can get a lunch for $20 and just not, or a dinner for $20. Don't go out to eat one night, and you can pick it up. Definitely don't buy the MFK blind buy. Way too expensive, not worth it. Get a decant. But again, cheaper. You will smell the alcohol on the initial blast. Give it a minute to dry down. You'll start to pick up the spices: cinnamon, sandalwood, tonka, the vetiver. Great fragrance. No complaints. MFK, you're gonna get a smooth, better blended, more authentic, cleaner lavender, and better performance as well. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I know it's a long video, and I hope to be putting out more of these comparison videos. Let me know what you think. Comment. Appreciate it.